So let me tell you a little something about ancient German history. So going way back when everything first started, around 130,000 BP, or before present, the Neanderthal made its first appearance in Europe. Then, 85,000 years later, the Homo sapien made its first appearance in Europe, with no information on what happened for those 85,000 years. Then, the only things that happened between when Homo sapiens first came and the first prominent cultures around 10,000 BC was figurines. Oh, and also the last glacial period ending, but who cares about that? Going back to those cultures, the first ones around 10,000 BC, called the Ahrensburg, were a group of hunter-gatherers. These people were also the first ones to make the very intellectual and very technological bow and arrow. But seriously, these guys preceded the Hamburgian cultures, which would make up modern-day Hamburg. Later, in between 5,500 and 5,000 BC, agriculture would be adopted into Central Europe with the rise of the linear pottery culture. These guys, would you have guessed it, had some pretty sick pottery, like this lug. They only lasted about 1,000 years, and with their fall birthed the new Michaelsburg culture and funnel beaker culture. With Michaelsburg starting in northeastern France and sliding its way over to central Germany and some other places. The funnel beakers were a society mostly made up of farmers migrated from Liberia in modern-day France. But these groups still really liked pottery. Late in the 3rd millennium BCE, the discovery of bronze would end the Neolithic Age, and the Bronze Age began. Bronze was used for a lot of things, from farming equipment to weapons. Then, within the next 1,000 years, started 3 new cultures, those being the Unitais, Urnfield, and Halsat. With Unitais, this having many sites around Europe be resurfaced, giving us much insight into the funky discs that they made, and also the cool little short swords that they made. Urnfield followed after the Tumulus culture, a dominant material culture in Central Europe during its time, and succeeded the Hallstatt culture, which some linguists believe to be one of the cultures with the pre-Celtic language or Proto-Celtic language family. It didn't take people too long to start wanting to kill each other. Where roughly 400 years after the Hallstatt started spreading during 390 BC, the Battle of Alai happened, where Rome, the capital of the growing Roman Republic, was sacked by Celtic warriors. Fought at the crossroads of the Tiber River and the Alai Brook, many archaeologists don't even believe this battle ever actually happened because of the lack of any archaeological evidence of a destruction level little skirmish at that specific date. As you would expect, the Romans didn't like that, and would later, between 113 and 101 BC, wage 4 battles, while the Cimbri and Teutons had to make migratory movements, whatever that means. These 2 civilizations would later be added by Julius Caesar to the category of Germans, even though everyone in Rome saw them as Celts. This was the first time that any group of people that I could find were first called Germans. If you thought that there was going to be a break of wars for a second, well, you're wrong. The Gallic Wars from 58 to 50 BC was where we see Julius Caesar just label and categorize people. He marched his forces into Gaul with intent of conquest and categorized the people he encountered into Gauls, Aquitani, Belgae, and Germans. He used the Rhine River as a boundary between the land he labeled as Germania and Gaul, and classified Ariovistus as king of the Germans, and still defeated him. Mr. Ariovistus over here was a leader of the Suebi and allied with Germanic people. He not only lost to Julius Caesar and was driven back to Rhine, but he never actually ruled over all Germans. A lot of the German area at the time was made up of many Germanic tribes, and he did rule over and was allied with some of them, but not all of them, and definitely not enough to be labeled King of the Germans.
Yeah, that's it. The end.